Is a video game ever worth ruining your entire life over? Today's story proves just how dangerous jealousy can really be. One boy thought he had the perfect plan to sneak into his neighbor's house and take what wasn't his, but he had no idea what was waiting for him inside. One tiny mistake triggered a terrifying nightmare that left him in the hospital and changed his life forever. What happened to him was very serious and even left him with serious problems because of the jealousy he felt over another child's Robux. I am not exaggerating. When you hear this story, you will understand why envy and obsession with virtual things can lead to horrible situations. Before we start, if you know how to control jealousy and would never do something like this, give it a like right now and subscribe to Always Be Protected, because this story that happened just 5 months ago will make you think twice before letting yourselves be consumed by envy. And get ready, guys, because what I am going to tell is shocking from beginning to end. Well, guys, this story happened exactly 5 months ago in a quiet residential neighborhood of a medium-sized city. There were 2 children who lived on the same street. Let's call them Orion and Santiago. Orion was 9 and Santiago was 10 years old. They lived just 5 houses away from each other. They went to the same school, but they had never been close friends. Orion was a boy from a middle-class family who lived with his parents and his younger sister in a modest house. His parents worked very hard, but money was always tight. They had what was necessary, but there was no extra for luxuries.
Orion loved playing Roblox, but his parents couldn't buy him Robux often, so he played with a super basic avatar with only free items. Santiago, on the other hand, lived in one of the largest houses on the street with his parents who had well-paying jobs. He was an only child, and his parents spoiled him quite a bit. Santiago had a latest generation gamer computer, a new cell phone, and most importantly for this story, guys, he had Robux in abundance. His parents bought him Roblox gift cards every month without a problem. Santiago and Orion knew each other by sight because they lived on the same street and sometimes crossed paths on the way to school. Santiago was kind to Orion. He would greet him when they crossed paths, but they weren't really friends, just neighborhood acquaintances who shared a love for Roblox. The problem started about 6 months ago when Orion discovered Santiago's profile on Roblox. One day while playing, he ran into him on a server and saw his avatar. Santiago had literally everything Orion dreamed of having. Very expensive, exclusive skins, legendary pets, limited accessories, special effects. It was the avatar of someone who had spent thousands on the game. Orion felt a horrible pang of envy seeing that avatar. He, who spent hours playing with his basic character, seeing Santiago with absolutely everything, started obsessing over Santiago's profile, constantly checking it, watching every new item he bought. Envy grew more every day. Orion started following Santiago more in real life, too. He paid attention when he saw him, noticed when he left his house, when packages arrived, everything. His parents didn't realize because they thought Orion was simply playing in his room like always. But Orion was developing an obsession, head on. For Santiago, Orion was just the neighbor boy he sometimes saw on the street. He went on with his normal life, playing Roblox happily, buying the items he wanted, without imagining that someone was watching him with so much envy. 5 months ago, Orion discovered something that would change everything. He saw a package arrive at Santiago's house. It was the characteristic size and shape of gift cards sold in large packs online. Orion knew exactly what it was because he had watched unboxing videos on YouTube. They were probably several Roblox gift cards. Orion couldn't stop thinking about those gift cards. They were right there at Santiago's house, just 5 houses away. They contained the Robux he wanted so much that he needed to have the avatar of his dreams. The idea of taking those gift cards started forming in his head as an intrusive thought he couldn't get out. Then something happened that Orion saw as the perfect opportunity. Santiago's parents announced in the neighborhood WhatsApp group that they were going to travel as a family for the long weekend. They were going to be away from Friday morning until Monday night. The house would be left alone except for Santiago's dog. Santiago had a big dog. I'm going to call him Thor. He was a 5-year-old German Shepherd.
Thor was a trained guard dog, super protective of his family and his territory. Santiago's parents always left him in the backyard when they traveled, with his little house, automatic feeder, and water. Thor was happy there, taking care of the property. Orion heard about the trip and his mind started contriving a plan. If the house was going to be empty, he could break in, look for the gift cards he had seen arrive, take them, and leave without anyone knowing. Santiago had so many Robux that he probably wouldn't even notice some gift cards were missing. It was a perfect plan in Orion's distorted head.
On Friday morning, Orion saw Santiago's family leaving in the car loaded with suitcases. He waited all morning and part of the afternoon to make sure they had really left and weren't going to return for something forgotten. At 3 in the afternoon, he decided it was time to execute his plan. Orion told his parents that he was going to a friend's house to do homework. His parents said okay to return before dinner. Orion left his house with a backpack as if he were going to study, but instead of going to a friend's house, he walked the 5 houses to Santiago's house. His heart was beating super fast from nerves. Santiago's house had an electric gate at the front and a high wooden fence around it. Orion walked down the street, checking that no one saw him. When he reached the gate, to his surprise, he noticed it was slightly open. Santiago or his parents had forgotten to close it completely when leaving in a hurry. For Orion, this confirmed that it was destiny for him to do this. Orion pushed the gate carefully and slipped inside the property. He was in the front yard. Now the house looked silent, empty. Orion walked towards the front door, trying to see if there was an open window or a way to enter. His plan was to go in, search for the gift cards, probably in Santiago's room, take them, and leave quickly. What Orion didn't know is that Thor wasn't alone in the backyard as he thought. That day, Thor had managed to open the back door, which hadn't been closed properly. Thor was inside the house. When Orion started trying to open the front door, the dog heard the noises of someone trying to break in and went on alert. Orion managed to open a low window that was unlocked. He slipped inside the house, landing in the living room. He stood still for a few seconds, listening, making sure there was really no one. Everything was silent. He started walking towards the stairs to go up to the second floor where Santiago's room probably was.
But then he heard a sound that chilled him. Guys. A low, deep, threatening growl. Orion turned slowly and saw Thor standing in the hallway leading to the kitchen. The dog looked at him fixedly, the hair on his back raised, teeth starting to show. Thor didn't know Orion. To him, he was an intruder in his territory. Orion felt immediate panic. He hadn't considered that the dog could be inside the house. He stood paralyzed, not knowing what to do. Thor took a step towards him, then another, the growl getting louder. Orion raised his hands in a gesture of peace. He good dog, easy. But Thor wouldn't calm down. Orion started backing up slowly toward the window he had entered through, but his movements made Thor react. The dog barked loudly and lunged at him. Orion screamed and tried to run, but tripped on the living room rug. He fell backward. Just as Thor reached him, Thor bit Orion's left ear. It wasn't a complete bite that ripped it off, because Thor was a trained dog who knew how to control his strength, but his teeth pierced the skin. Orion felt sharp pain and screamed with all his strength. Blood started coming out of his ear. Thor let go of him upon hearing the scream, but kept barking aggressively. Orion, in total panic, tried to get up and run. He managed to stand up, but was disoriented from pain and fear. He ran towards where he thought the window was, but in reality, it was towards the back door leading to the garden. Thor followed him barking, biting the air near him, doing his job of scaring off the intruder. Orion reached the backyard, running out of control. The garden had stone steps leading down to a grassy area. Orion didn't see the steps because he was looking back, checking that Thor wasn't following him. He stepped on the first step unexpectedly, lost his balance completely, and fell rolling down the steps. The fall was horrible, guys. Orion rolled, hitting himself on every stone step. There were about 6 steps, but it was enough. When he finally stopped rolling and was lying on the grass, he felt pain all over his body. His ear kept bleeding.
But the worst was when he tried to open his eyes. Orion tried to open his eyes, but everything was blurry on the left side. He felt something was wrong with that eye. He had hit his face against one of the stone steps during the fall. The impact had been directly on his left eye. The pain was different, deeper, terrifying. Thor had stopped chasing him and went back into the house. Orion remained lying in the garden, bleeding from his ear, feeling that something terrible had happened to his eye. He tried to get up, but every movement hurt. Finally, he managed to stand up, staggering. He had to get out of there. He had to get home. Orion dragged himself to the back fence that had a service gate. He managed to open it and went out into the back alley. From there, he walked back to his house via a different route so no one from the main street would see him. When he got to his house, his parents weren't there. They had gone out shopping. Orion entered his room and looked in the mirror. The image terrified him. His left ear had 2 bleeding punctures where Thor's teeth had penetrated. But even worse, his left eye was red, swollen, and he could barely see anything through it alone. Blurry shapes. Panic completely consumed him. Orion washed his ear with water and put cotton on it, trying to stop the bleeding. He put his hair over his ear to cover it. He put on sunglasses to cover the swollen eye. When his parents arrived, Orion said he had a headache and stayed in his room. He spent the afternoon and night there, terrified, without knowing what to do. During the night, his eye worsened. The swelling grew, the pain intensified. Orion could barely see anything out of that eye. His ear also hurt horribly, throbbing. Orion cried all night, knowing something was very wrong, but too scared to confess what he had done. On Saturday morning, Orion's mom noticed something was wrong. Orion was still wearing sunglasses inside the house, his hair strangely arranged over one ear. When his mom asked him what was going on, Orion tried to say nothing, but his voice broke. His mom took off his sunglasses and saw the eye. Orion's parents took him immediately to the emergency room. At the hospital, the doctor examined both his ear and his eye. His ear had an infection starting due to the punctures without proper treatment. They cleaned it, disinfected it, and gave him antibiotics. The ear was going to heal with small scars where the teeth had been, but nothing permanently serious. This story has critical lessons, guys. First, envy is a toxic emotion that can destroy lives. Orion let envy over Santiago's Robux consume him to the point of committing a crime. Envy never leads to anything good, only bitterness and bad decisions. Second, Robux are literally just numbers on a screen. Orion lost 80% of vision in one eye. He was left with a criminal record, destroyed his reputation, traumatized his family, all for virtual items, nothing at stake. Nothing is worth as much as health, freedom, and dignity in real life. And finally, consequences of impulses can be permanent. Orion made an impulsive decision based on envy. Those minutes of malice resulted in a permanent injury that will affect the rest of his life. Always think before acting. Both kids' parents learned lessons too, about monitoring their children better, about property security, about difficult conversations that need to be had. Both families were marked by this incident in different ways. Guys, give it a like and subscribe to stay protected. This terrible story reminds us to control envy, value what we have, and never let obsession with virtual things lead us to decisions that can ruin lives. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt envy for other people's things? How do you handle it? I want to read your thoughts. Take good care of yourselves, guys. Enjoy Roblox, but never let it become an obsession that clouds your judgment. See you in the next video. Bye. Bye.